Hi, my name's Sam. I'm a veterinarian in Perth. So I'm really lucky. I've got one of the best jobs in the world and I live in one of the best cities in the world. My channel's going to be about journaling and I really want to be able to take you outdoors to see some of Perth's beautiful landscapes and see my dog as we go along. I also want to talk to you about journaling and maybe we'll get into some pens and some inks and different stationery, that type of thing. So what I do in my daily life is I'm a small animal veterinarian in a practice in the north of Perth. It's super busy, especially at this time of year. Lots and lots of animals are sick. They've kind of stayed at home during the winter, and all of a sudden now in spring, they're out and about. So not only have we had our fair share of snake bites and grass seeds, but we actually had a snake brought in today that had been injured by being driven over. Luckily, he was a python and we were able to handle him, but sadly, he was too badly injured, so we have had to euthanize him. So it's one of the stresses of our job is not everything always kind of goes the way that we would like. So part of being able to deal with the hecticness and the different types of stress that we're put under, whether it's time because of appointments coming up, whether it's difficult cases, emotional owners, and sometimes it's really emotional for us, having a way to be able to bring some clarity, bring some thoughts, process our thoughts is, for me, journaling. And it's something I've been doing on and off for about 5 years. I found it really, really helpful to just kind of sort through what is a problem, what is a real problem, what's not really a problem, or what I call a first world problem, and what can I do. Sometimes just writing it down tends to help you pick through how am I going to solve this, or do I even need to solve it? And it's kind of like a big brain dump. It helps me just pop everything onto a piece of paper, helps me sleep because I no longer have to have it whizzing around in my head. So you've probably also cottoned on to the fact that I've got ADHD as well, which is a superpower when I'm at work because I can manage a lot of things at once. But it's also really draining for me, the mental and emotional side of things. It gets a bit overwhelming. And it's a pretty common problem in my profession as well, for vets and for nurses. So we always love it when owners are really kind to us, nice to us, and we get to help them. But unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. So aside from writing and journaling, I also go running. I'm a bit of a slow runner, but I still do it just for my mental health. And I do really enjoy it, especially on spring days today. So I might only run 3, maybe 4 kilometers, and I'm pretty slow, but being out in nature, being out in the fresh air and the sunshine, and sometimes even the rain. I love running in the rain as well. That can just really help calm my mind, give me some peace and some clarity. Like, do I really need to be worrying about some of the things I'm worried about? And it also helps me with planning because I run the business as well as being a working veterinarian. So helps me just kind of sort through administrative tasks, or if I'm having issues that I really kind of need to put some thought into. Journaling, just writing, going with the flow every morning really helps just to get those thoughts down and figure out what's the best way forward. So in terms of journaling, can just use like loose leaf paper, but I'll kind of just use a book like this. It's kind of, you can see there's tons of writing in there. I just put the date on it. I do use different pens. I'm really into fountain pens. I really don't know how that started. I bought myself a Lamy Safari, which I don't know if you know, but it's a pretty cheap but very popular pen, a fountain pen from Lamy. I just loved the way it glided across the page instead of a scratchy old ballpoint. So from there, I kind of progressed to another Lamy pen up to the All Star. I can show you some of those maybe later on. And After that, I started watching some YouTube videos and I saw, lots and lots of content on vintage fountain pens. Now, part of my job is doing fine work with surgery, doing dentistry. So all of a sudden I saw all these people repairing and restoring vintage fountain pens that were maybe 100 years old, 50 years old, 80 years old, that had never written since maybe 50 years ago. So I took up the challenge and I started restoring vintage fountain pens. I busted a few pens along the way, but I've also got a lot of pens that haven't written for maybe a century and I've got them to write again. So that's really rewarding for me, kind of appeals to the vet side of me, the try and fix things, and kind of helps me just spend some time instead of thinking about my problems or binge eating or dealing with some of the other dopamine fixes that people with ADHD like to get. It just really helped focus me, gave me something really interesting and challenging to do in the evenings. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of vintage fountain pens. And then, of course, I started watching other fountain pen content, and man, there's just so many fountain pens and they are so interesting. So I've managed to collect quite a few in about a year. I've got a few Grail pens, well, at least for me, Grail pens. For everybody, Grail pens are different, I guess. And I've also got a lot of them from Temu, lots of Jinhao pens, which I really love using at work. I love writing things out for clients, writing out my recommendations or just writing them little notes about things that they can do for their pets at home. Yep, we do print them out as well, and we use all sorts of other technical equipment at work, but sometimes it's just nice to slow down. And I think that's one of the things I really love about fountain pens is it makes you slow down. It makes you think about what you're doing. It gives you time to think, and it's a lot more comfortable. I can write for a long time with a fountain pen. This is my favorite. I don't know if you can see it there, but that's a Sapphire Edson, and it's just beautiful. I'll show you a writing sample in a while. This is my favorite, and this one you can fly with, but it's not really a suitable pen for taking to work. So I do have a bunch of other pens. I've got a Lamy 2000 here. It's really durable. It's really easy to use. It's got the little hidden nib in here. It writes so smoothly. This one's got a white gold nib. It's a fine, and it's really practical because it's also got a little ink window as well. So he comes to work with me quite a lot. I love waking up in the morning. I might journal into my bullet journal, try and just map out what am I going to do to sort out if we're buying new equipment, or if I'm trying to work out a budget for advertising, or if I'm trying to plan new kinds of treatments, integrate study, that type of thing. My bullet journal is really great for that. Of course, I also fountain pen into my planner and diary. And every night at the end of the day, I do also like to use one of these, which has got 5 things for a year, and I just write a little bit for each day, and over 5 years I'll get a nice collection that I can look back over. So these are some of the things that I do to try and just make my life better. It's fabulous already, but it's always nice to feel calm and just have a way to deal with any stress. It means I don't have to take any medication. It means that I get to manage things on my terms. So one of the reasons I wanted to start this video channel is to share this with people. So people in the healthcare profession, vets, nurses, possibly doctors, dentists, etc. as we have an aging dog population, aging people population, our jobs are becoming more and more hectic. The demands on our time are really increasing, and society's kind of changed. There's kind of a lot more expectations to be met. And so for all of us, I just thought this would be a nice way to be able to share my experience. I've been a veterinarian for 40 years, and I managed to kind of finish my day in quite a positive sort of headspace. So what do I write? I just do a brain dump. Sometimes I might write affirmations. I might write something like, I'm happy, I feel good, if I'm actually feeling pretty terrible. If I write that enough times in my journal, it really can make me feel better. There's just so much that you can do. So I'm really hoping that you get to come along with me, and I'll also get you to see my dog, Daisy, who's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous girl. She comes to work with me every day as well. So I'm hoping that if you've watched up to here, you might subscribe. I'm a brand new channel. Feel free to share this video. I'd love you to put in a comment. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you journal. And if you do journal, do you do it indoors? Do you do it outdoors? Because my plan is to take you outside around Perth and let you see what's going on. It's just a little bit overcast today, and it's my first video, so just thought it might be a little bit easier for me to manage getting this done at home. It's actually a big day today, isn't it, Daisy? Yes, 7 years since Daisy came into my life. Daisy's got a few problems, but she is the best, aren't you, my angel?